Welcome back, folks. MTG Joe here. Today we're going to be continuing our meta breakdown videos. This is a weekly installment where for each of the formats on MTG Arena we tackle what are the best decks of the format. This particular video is for standard best of 3, traditional standard. If you're looking for standard best of 1, it's in the playlist. We just covered that yesterday. But these are the decks that if you want to try to get to Mythic or you want to be really competitive with, try out these lists. I will paste all these deck lists in the video description so you can get that. And the data we're getting these stats from is Untapped GG, companion tool that runs alongside your Arena client, tracks your win rates, loss rates, in-game overlays, whole bunch of cool features with like your collection. The link is in the video description if you want to get started with them as well. So jumping in, we're looking November 15th through the 21st. Now notably, it's less than a week of data. For best of 3, it tends to take at least 2 to 3 weeks usually to get enough of a sample size. We had the standard metagame challenge over the weekend, so a lot of folks who are playing best of 3 were playing that most likely. So we only have 15,000 matches, which is 30,000 to 45,000 games because it's best of 3. So we are also going to look at the standard challenge this go around from MTGO as well, just to give us a little bit better population. So top performing deck and a surprise to no one is Grixis. The best deck in previous standard continues to be good. And there's a lot of different ways to build Grixis. This particular version is playing still the Corpse Appraisers, Fable the Mirror Breakers, Shieldred, Bloodtithe Harvester, but we have the inclusion of Go for the Throat over Infernal Grasp. Just being able to not take damage is really impactful. You still have Make Disappears in here. Braids have a lot more utility in this format, but we're also seeing the inclusion of Surge Engine in this particular version. So 2 mana, 3/2. Defender that you can pump mana into, so for 1 blue it basically can attack and gains unblockable in a way, can't be blocked. Then it becomes a 5/4 and then it could draw you 3 cards, so it's kind of a late game mana sink as well that has some utility. Also seeing a kind of unique sweeper here in Hostile Takeover. So 5 mana, up to 1 target creature has base power and toughness 1/1 till end of turn. Up to 1 target creature has base power and toughness 4/4 till end of turn, and then you deal 3 damage. So you can kind of control how the damage is done and kind of be a one-sided sweeper. It also works nicely with things like Shieldred because you can sweep the board without your creatures dying. So you kind of have that. Some of the lists were playing Phyrexian Fleshgorger, some were playing Blade Coil Serpent, so there's a lot of different ways you can build Grixis. This just happens to be the one with the highest win rate tracked from Untapped right now. Like I said, there's a lot of different ways to kind of go about it. In terms of the sideboard, there's a lot of one-ofs here, just kind of situational cards, but we'll kind of group it into terms of themes. So you have your Counterspell package, Disdainful Stroke, Make Disappear, Negate, just kind of coincidental there. Cut Down is your removal package, Dreams of Steel and Oil is kind of discard Hand Hate along with Duress, so kind of just a different style of Duress. Non-creature, creature artifact kind of play. A Braid and Go for the Throat, just additional removal spells. Bankbuster for the grind, Unlicensed Hurts for the graveyard hate. Another Sweeper in Brothers War that can also be good against the Anvil decks to blow up all the artifacts. Similar Hostile Takeover, another copy. And then you have more grind elements in Kaido Suzuki and Soren as well. For those more like grindy mid-range mirrors, you can kind of play those cards as well. Also seen some of the lists in Grixis play Siphon Insight. It's a very good card in the kind of mirrors because if it gets discarded, you don't care, you get to cast it again. It's 2 spells in 1, and you also get to take your opponent's spells, so it's almost in a way 3 spells in 1, kind of all playing in that regard. From Grixis mid-range, we go to Grixis Anvil at 55.2%. So there's some similarities with the lists. You still have your Corpse Appraisers, Fable the Mirror Breakers, Bloodtithe Harvesters, but this version here is built around Onicult Anvil. So you want to sacrifice artifacts. You can do that with like blood tokens, but there's also a Transmogrant's Crown. So 2 mana, basically Skull Clamp but fixed. So each turn you can attach this for black mana to your token that you make with Onicult Anvil, then you can sack it and then draw a card. So it basically replaces itself from a creature standpoint and also gives you a card advantage each turn. And also just kind of pushes through power. Tokens being 3/1 makes it a lot more effective into attacking into like your opponent's Corpse Appraisers, Trespassers, stuff like that. You're also playing 4 Saheelis here. Saheeli lets you draw cards, so it's just more grind value with this, letting you draw cards, creating Thopters, or even just the emblem, which can be done after, like you +1 turn, and then the next turn you can emblem it. Makes your other artifacts cost cheaper, but more importantly makes all your tokens now 2/2s. The more emblems you could get, it kind of stacks there. Similarly, for Visions of Phyrexia is another card advantage engine that if you don't play the spells, creates Power Stones, which you then can sack. So there's a lot more grind to this particular build of Anvil that sometimes the Rakdos deck just kind of runs out of gas because you don't have stuff like Deadly Dispute that you've seen in past formats. Very similar with the sideboard. Your counter spells, a couple additional removal spells. Vona's Vortex is just catch-all, kind of bounce tempo. Duress for Hand Hate, the same kind of grind package. Couple Brotherhood's End, just as a sweeper against like soldiers or stuff. Obnixis is very good into like the Grixis decks or any deck that has a difficult time dealing with a Planeswalker. You get 2 and it kind of swings the life total. Some copies of Shieldred for aggressively slanted decks. And then Soul Transfer's catch-all removal. And then another deck doing like just slightly above average, mono red burn aggro. So this deck here is built around the Mechanized Warfare card, so 3 mana enchantment that makes your red spells or artifacts deal 1 additional damage. So Lightning Strike deals 4, Play with Fire is basically Lightning Bolt with it. This stacks if you have multiple copies. Your pings from like Voldaren Aperture, Kumano deal 2 damage, Phoenix Chick deals 2, Reckless Impulse for card advantage, some Squeeze, Chandra for card advantages, and the Festivals deals 2+ per creature, so for your opponent. Excuse me. Feeling a little under the weather, so I'm trying to get through this. And then your mana base, you got the Mishra's Foundries in there as creature lines. Sideboard, again, just flexible removal. Graveyard, Cemetery Gatekeeper's Graveyard Hate. Obliterating Bolt is 4 damage. Bankbuster Hearse, Chandra, just kind of your grind package. Jaya for grind. Seismic Wave as just a bigger scalable sweeper. Interesting to see no deal 5s. There's the 3 mana 5 damage spell that sometimes comes in against Shieldred. I'd probably look to find space for that. While these cards can scale to deal with Shieldred, just always having the clean answer for Shieldred would make sense because it's the card that probably most swings the matchups. So jumping over to MTGO. So we'll kind of go over at a high level here what the lists were. I'll link this in if you do want to pull it in, but we'll kind of just go over themes here. So the first place list that won was a Esper Legends deck. Esper mid-range, so a lot of legendary creatures, kind of a refined package that we've seen thus far. The new cards that you've seen in here are Harbin, Vanguard Aviator, 2 mana 3/2. If you tackle 5 or more soldiers, creatures you control gain flying till end of turn. So there's some number of soldiers in the deck incidentally. However, it's more just as a 2 mana 3/2 flying legendary. Most of the legendaries are being played because you get access to Plaza of Heroes for another untapped land. You got Gix in here, which is new. You have Ashnot, Flesh Mechanist, just as another evasive or like pseudo evasive creature with the Death Touch. Wandering Emperors mixed into there, so just aggressively slanted. You have Ratadrabic in the sideboard for like the heavier removal matchups. I don't believe there's any. Yes, there's none main, but it's a sideboard option. Brutal Catharsis removal, Wandering Emperors, and Disdainful Strokes, Destroy Evil as just kind of clean removal. Second place was AL MTG, which with this is the same Grixis Anvil deck that we saw, the Shieldred Iconoclast, so slightly different. So you still have elements of the Anvil deck, still playing the Shieldreds in here. But this version here is playing the third pass Iconoclast in addition to trigger for more tokens as well. Still with the synthesizers, we have the Mishra's Research Desk as some more card advantage engines in here. Similarly, you see like Obnixis, some of the same cards in the sideboard. Sandy Dog came in third, and this is with a blue-white soldiers deck. So Sky Strike Officer gives you a bunch of card advantage. The Harbins that we've seen, Valiant Veteran. So if you're looking for blue-white soldiers, take a look at this list. Sandy Dog is a very good player, especially with aggro lists, so definitely check that out. Sorry, it's a lot harder to visually just kind of get a gauge on MTGO, kind of these deck lists. But this is Grixis mid-range, so we see another kind of version here with Wandering Mind, Corpse Praiser. So like I said, there's a lot of different ways you can build Grixis. This one's going up to Invoke Despair. And then kind of the same, you're seeing very similar stuff in terms of the sideboards. This is a draw 2 version of Grixis with stuff like Evangel of Synthesis, Ledger Shredder, Gixian Puppeteer. So if you want to draw 2, get some triggers, you got Sahili in this version, which is kind of cool. So like I was saying, like Grixis is very hard to nail down in terms of like, this is Grixis, because the core of Grixis is Fable the Mirror Breaker, some numbers of Sheoldreds, Corpse Appraiser, and Blood Tithe Harvester. Everything else is kind of, numbers could vary. We see another Anvil deck, mono blue. You see Curate being a new card that's being played in there. I think that's the only new card. Yeah, so only new card there. Another Grixis deck that's the same. Another Esper mid-range deck. This one's got a Teferi copy in it. Mono black with like Misery Shadow in here, Razor Slash. So some copies of mono black if you want to continue playing that. Rakdos mid-range with Sorin, Invoke Despair, Soul Transfer. Just kind of skimming through, seeing if there's anything else unique. Yeah, so this is like a Phyrexian Flesh Gorger version of Rakdos, or sorry, of Grixis. Mono black with Flesh Gorger and Gix in here. Another mono black, another Grixis. Another mono black aggro version with like Knight of Dusk Shadow, Sheoldred Misery Shadow. This one's actually kind of cool. It is a so Hadi Jin, Lear, got Elder Dragon War, so kind of plays similar to the mono blue deck with a bunch of interaction, but you're getting red, so you can actually kill stuff that resolves, burn down the house, and Lear gets you to copy stuff out of the sideboard. Some third class Iconoclasts out of the sideboard too, which is cool. Mono black with like Transmogren's Crown. So lots of cool lists here if you want to check out as well. You can see the placements that they did. This is for those unfamiliar, the standard challenge is kind of like an arena open, higher stakes tournament with like prizing that's a little bit higher than your traditional league match, where folks may just go like 5-0 for example. So that's it for the week. As we get more data, we'll kind of come out. I'm going to probably try to get out Explorer and Historic, at least best of ones in the next couple days. Best of 3, the Untapped just doesn't have enough data yet. And because those are arena-only formats, I can only rely on that. But for this week, we'll try to get out as much meta content as we can. And then we'll be back with that. As always, if you do have any questions, drop them in the comments. And if you can, drop a like, comment, and subscribe on the video. All are free and easy ways to help out the channel. And it's greatly appreciated with helping with the algorithm. In any case, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great one and stay safe out there.